I'm coming to you live from the city that is still convinced it's the capital of Canada. It's Toronto. It's time for the Midweek Late Night Show. Yay! Give it up for our second chair, the fantastic, the one and only, the Velvet Duke.
Hey everybody, I am the Velvet Duke. And Kelly had it absolutely right. This is the Midweek Late Night Show, number 4. We're going to come right to you with an interview, trivia, and silliness too. We're going to do what we do, not talk over each other. Oh, there's going to be so much love. Oh, there may be some push and shove because we're Canadian and American, you see, and the border must stay between you and me. Midweek Late Night Show. It'll be short, you know. Also, not too late for us. No, wait, it's super late for us. Midweek Late Night Show. Back to you, Kelly.
Yes, this is happening at the reasonably late hour of 8 p.m. Eastern in Toronto, Canada. Our guest is in a whole other time zone where it is it's early bird special late. Really, it's if you're of a certain age, you would early bird special it. But we'll get to our guest in a minute, and I'm very, very excited to have her on tonight. But the Velvet Duke, I'm just going to make you a speaker for a little moment. Got a question for your friend. Who is our sponsor tonight?
Oh, our sponsor, very, very special sponsor every single show. Tonight's is the Canadian Target. We didn't want it. It didn't last. Canadian Target. They missed the mark, huh?
Oh, it's so clever. So clever. People might be surprised that Target did not last here, but Canadians didn't want it.
You know, Canadians hold on to the old branding. Like it's Rogers Center, but we still call it Sky Dome.
Yes.
I think that they were so beholden to Zeddy and Club Z of Zellers that any upstart coming in, doesn't matter how popular you were around the world. No.
Exactly. And also, I think bringing Target into Canada took away the fun as a Canadian of crossing the border to go to a Target.
Oh, and that's it too.
It's fun.
I also think, Kelly, it's the fact that Ontarians especially refuse to be bilingual. Target, they only do it ironically when they cross to another country. Will they do it when they go to Montreal? Never.
No, exactly. All right, Velvet Duke, everyone. The one, the only Velvet Duke. For our American friends here in the room and watching on YouTube, Zellers tried to come back to life. I'm not sure if they succeeded, but kind of the same deal as Target. Just so you know, it's just that's more old school Canadian Zellers. Club Z with Teddy. It's so cute. So cute. All right. There we are. Okay. I am just going to very awkwardly scroll through my call sheet as you do. Yes. It's time for headlines, friends. It's time for headlines. We took a month off from this show. I forgot how it worked. There we are. Going to bring you some headlines. Not heavy like CBS News, CNN stuff. We're not going there. We're going for the lighter side of the news, friends, giving you some lighter headlines for your evening. Here we go. Starting it off, this is quite the controversy, as some people may pronounce it. The government of Ontario, so Velvet and I are both in the province of Ontario. The government recently shut down the beloved Ontario Science Center. Shut it down, just made a call. We're closing it over concerns that the roof might collapse. This is my favorite part of it. If it snows, everyone go check your calendar. It's June 26th of our recording this. Last week in Toronto, it was 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 45. If it snows, oh my goodness. But in Ontario, moments from now, you'll be able to buy beer at a gas station. So there you go. It makes sense. Doug Ford did run on a platform of beer is cool and science is for nerds. So it sort of makes sense. The red flags were there, friends. The red flags were there. Fun fact, most schools in Ontario have the same roof as the Ontario Science Center, but they're not closed. So it's just kind of fun. It was kind of fun. An Alberta man made Price is Right history recently with a winning bid that blew everyone's mind. This man from Alberta guessed within $1 of the price of the Showcase Showdown without going over, within $1. So history was made on Price is Right. The man would have been more excited if the grand prize hadn't been a trip to Alberta. He just got a flight home, everyone. That was nice. Traveling is expensive. I would have taken it. Final thing, the beloved, one of my favorite reality shows, if not my favorite, the Bravo series Top Chef, just announced that their next season, they're coming to Canada. They're filming in Toronto. So it's very exciting. One of the planned challenges for the chefs, though, will be trying to find someone in Toronto who knows what Canadian bacon is. We don't say that here, American friends. We don't. It's ham. More specifically, it's sad ham. That shit is dry. Okay. That is dry. I don't know what they call it in Ottawa, the Velvet Duke, but in Toronto, you would say pea meal bacon or maybe back bacon. But yeah, no one says Canadian bacon here.
In Ottawa, it's called payola bacon.
Oh, it's fantastic. Total sidebar. I was watching a Jimmy Kimmel Live last night, and the singer Jelly Roll is coming to Canada for the first time. He was very confused by Canadian bacon. He didn't. He's like, "Can I ask for it when I go?" No. Somebody, if you ask for it, somebody will hand you a DVD copy of the 1990 John Candy called classic film Canadian Bacon. If you ask for Canadian bacon here. That is what will happen. Alrighty, we are going to go back to the Velvet Duke. Velvet, what is your word? Let's say for the month of June.
The word for the month of June is barren. Barren. The Premier's tycoon friends are barren the Science Center land so that they can make more money. Barren.
I like it. Alrighty. On that note, we are going to. Oh, there, Velvet's popped up now. Nice.
Yeah, I don't see the pop up in time.
It's seamless. It's seamless, everyone. It's seamless. Well, Velvet, we're going to put you back here. Just move Velvet back over. Having a bit of fun tonight.
Canadian badminton.
Exactly. Polite. So I apologize. I'm sorry. Sorry. All right. It is time now for one of my favorite games. It's time for trivia. Weird Canadian trivia. And to play along, the Velvet Duke will be guessing. Velvet did not see the answers ahead of time. I narrowly almost sent it to them. They did not see them ahead of time. And our guest for tonight, the reason why we are on Plauzzable, the founder of this platform, the very funny, very talented. And I recently met her when I went to Seattle, so I know she's real. She's not just something on your computer. Give it up for Leanne Linsky joining us for some trivia.
Yay!
Right. Have you been practicing, Leanne, reading up about Canada? Because you don't know what two strange facts I'm going to throw at you.
Yes and no. I thought about it and then stopped. I was like,
I like that. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I whirled that idea around in my head and here we are. There
If
you
you
go.
Google search for too much Canadian facts, the
Yeah.
U.S. government actually will shut you down. So
Yeah, I don't want to be
I think that
doxxed
you're
or
trying to
anything.
migrate or something.
Yeah, Jeeves will come in and just kick you out. I miss Jeeves. Anyone else miss Ask Jeeves?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I occasionally wonder how Jeeves is doing. Jeeves
Yeah.
may or may not know the answer to these two questions, friends. And if you have watched past episodes, which of course you have, you know that both of these questions might be true. They might both be false. One might be true, one might be false. You don't know till I ask it and then give you the answer. So, Leanne, are you ready for this challenge?
Oh, I am so ready. Bring it on.
Amazing. The grand prize will be Canadian
Bean
bacon.
bacon. I knew it.
Do you have a DVD player? I'll send you. I'll send you. All right, here we go. Question number 1: true or false? In the city of Oshawa, Ontario, is it against the law to climb a tree?
True.
You're correct. Yay! Are you surprised, Velvet, by that?
I am. I grew up there. I don't remember if we were allowed to even grow trees there. It was anyway, we could get into that.
All right, here's the deal. It is true. The Oshawa City bylaw states no person shall interfere with a tree or part of a tree located on municipal property, including but not limited to attaching, affixing, or placing upon in any manner any objects to a tree or a part of a tree or climbing a tree. I had
need to
no
know
idea.
how they were interfering with it that they had to create a law.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Somebody did something, and that's the missing piece right there. Is what did that person do?
We didn't get maple sap this winter. I'm going to make some.
I feel I need to investigate further to find out what the
Yep.
tree interference was. Do I want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He
We need
says
you
no.
to know. You started this, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Also,
I love it.
do not Google animal husbandry.
No.
Oh,
It's related.
That's for the midweek late night show. Velvet.
It's the midweek bleeped out show.
All right, 1 point so far, Leanne. See if you can make it 2 for 2.
okay.
With this next weird Canadian fact. In the province of Alberta, true or false, it is illegal to own a pet rat.
I'm going to say this is also true.
Velvet, what do you think?
See, I'm going to say false. We know how many problems there are with the politicians out there. They are owned. They are rats.
It's true. Everyone, it's true. Yep.
Yeah, you swept this.
It says on whatever rat laws they have in Alberta, which that just sounded weird coming out of my mouth. A person shall not purchase, keep, or sell live rats unless the person holds a permit issued under the subsection. What rat subsection? Is that
Wow.
weird?
Wow. Rats have rights. Rats have rights. Rats' rights are people's rights.
I think
Apparently.
rats have more rights than some Canadians.
Yeah, it's probably harder to obtain a rat than a gun. Like,
Oh,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
oh, for sure. The good people at BuzzFeed, where this information came from, everybody, if you're wondering, also added, fun fact, Alberta is the only region in the entire world that is free of Norwegian rats.
there's a Norwegian rat?
That
That's
was
my
my
first.
other question.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
feeling
assuming
like
they
the
chewed on
convoy should
Norwegian.
defend our borders from rat populations.
They only allow X number in.
That's right. Let the
I
right ones in.
I am wondering, is the Norwegian rat the inspiration behind the Beatles' hit Norwegian Wood?
Mm.
Isn't it good, Norwegian Wood? It's tasty if you're a rat.
It's like the rat Canadian bacon.
You're finding out too much.
I'm going to go for dual citizenship here in the next few months. I see it in my future.
I think
Yeah.
you should. I
Mhm.
think you should. Just don't do any funny stuff with the tree in Oshawa.
No
Just,
trees, no rats.
Yeah.
no.
Check.
Yeah. I do believe that is the motto on our flag. No tree climbing, no rats. Anyhow, well played, Leanne. Well played.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
got
feeling
2
good
points.
about this. This is a confidence booster for
There
sure.
you go. A DVD copy of Canadian Bacon will be on your way to you. Delivered by a rat because they can't come into Alberta. Just,
Wow.
oh, so weird. The world is weird. But it's time for the interview. And speaking of the world being weird, I got to meet you through a strange time that we just experienced over the past 4 years of pandemic life. Tell me about Plauzzable. Was it an idea born in the pandemic, or did this come before the world went backwards?
It was actually an idea before the world went backwards.
Oh.
Yeah, we were spinning the other way. I actually had thought about it way back in 2014, 2015. And when I moved from New York to California, because
Okay.
I had lived in New York for so many years, and getting around into mics and shows was relatively easy. And suddenly I found myself in California spending more time on the freeway than any stage. And I was like,
Mhm.
what? This is so wild. Like, who would have thought, So how do I fix this problem? And then in doing so, I discovered all sorts of problems that going online could fix.
Yeah. No, definitely. The traffic in California is there any way, if someone has never experienced it, is there a word you can think of?
Any appropriate words that are like non-violent, non-cuss words? No. Bananas? I found it to be bananas. Honestly, it was wild. It was
Yeah.
really nerve-wracking. So I had come from not having a car for many years to
Mhm.
getting a car. So I got a Buick because it drove like a tank, And like I had this big old Buick. What was it? I can't even remember.
Mhm.
And I don't know. But I got rear-ended on the 405, and it
Oh,
just created, like, it was terrifying because it
yeah.
was like during rush hour. Everybody came to a screeching halt, and I just missed the person in front of me within an
Ooh.
inch. And then I looked in my rearview mirror, and here he comes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of really put a damper on my will to keep getting in my car and putting my life at risk. And
Yeah.
so, although I had the idea initially because I would miss my friends and people, I
Mhm.
ran a mic in New York for 7.5 years,
Okay.
and and I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And I was like, I miss the camaraderie and the community and everything that was created from that. And I
Mhm.
thought, oh, maybe we can go on Skype. And I was using
Yeah.
Zoom at the time because of my job.
Okay.
And then everybody was like, Skype, I don't know what Zoom is. And then fast forward, because life
Mhm.
got lifey, and I
Mhm.
was producing in-person shows and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then August of 2019, before BC, I call it August
Mhm.
BC, before COVID.
Sorry.
Um, right, new meaning for BC. Yeah, I started doing things online. I kind of cobbled
Mhm.
together, I had a website for a previous business I had, and I put a page on there for online open mic. And then I set up a scheduling
Cool.
system, and I connected Zoom, and I did all, like, I set it
Yeah.
up so it'd be like easy. And
Yeah.
then people from East Coast and West Coast would join, and they're like, hey, this is cool because I can meet people I wouldn't normally meet.
Exactly.
And then, of
Yeah.
course, COVID happened and everybody started doing that. And I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
well, this is cool. I mean, not
Yeah.
cool, the COVID part,
Right.
but cool
Yeah.
that people were adapting because it kind of forced people to try something maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. But from
Mhm.
there, I kind of realized it solved a lot of problems, but it created some other problems.
Yeah.
And so I started meeting and talking to people and formulating this idea of
Mhm.
how we could solve some of the other problems and really empower and democratize the industry
Yeah.
and kind of like level the playing field for everybody.
Mhm. No, I love that. And I think you are the one of the few people I know who knew what Zoom was before COVID. I
Yeah.
had never heard of it before.
Yeah. I had been using it, I think since it had like maybe when it was a year old, I started using it.
No way.
Yeah, we used it for work, because
That's so
I
funny.
worked at a studio in New York, and we did a
Mhm.
lot of things with remote workers and stuff, and
Yeah.
then I continued working that job
Mhm.
in New York, even though I was on the West Coast, so we used
Okay.
Zoom for a lot of things. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
crazy because
Super crazy.
I'm like,
Super crazy.
how does nobody know of this Zoom that I've been using, you
Well,
know?
I knew of Skype, and
Yeah,
then this all happened, and everyone was like, screw you, Skype. And Skype's just
yeah.
the friend who's like, I still have cake.
I
No
know,
one
and then
wants it.
Skype went, "Brah." Yeah. Yeah, it was wild. Because when I was first started using Zoom, people were like, "I don't know what this is," and I have to walk
Yeah.
them through the
Yeah.
download and because everybody went through that initial of like, "What? How do I? What do I?"
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for sure. How when did you start doing stand up, and what was the push for you to get into comedy?
So, I actually started, over 20 years ago now.
Nice.
I yeah, I had gone to school. So, after I grew up in the Chicago area.
Mhm.
And my family's really super funny. I was the youngest, and everybody was really funny. So it's kind of like I had to have a sense of humor of some
Right.
sort in order to manage all of that quick wit and funny people.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I went to finish and get my bachelor's, I ended up moving and transferring to UNLV for my junior and senior year. So I moved to Vegas.
Oh,
So yeah,
how fun was that?
oh my gosh, Vegas is like the place to be, all right? Like when you're not even 21 yet.
Yeah.
And then
I love
so
Vegas.
I stayed in Vegas for 16 years, but after
Hmm.
I graduated, I ended up getting a job in home building. And then a year later, a national builder came into play. So I ended up working for a Fortune 500 company for nearly 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and during that time, I did a variety of jobs from bookkeeping,
Mhm.
some like accounts payable to market research, and then I went out in the field and learned about construction, and then became a back-end superintendent where I'd take houses from drywall to finish, and then I was a
Wow.
yeah, and then I ended up being the manager of cultural development, and we
Of
were
course. Yeah.
acquiring a whole other corporation, and I was had a role in integrating the two different cultures of the companies and
Yeah.
onboarding. So I did a lot of public speaking
Yeah.
during my whole time there. I always emceed events and was in charge of like all these various events. And so I did a
Mhm.
lot of speaking, and that was always something I was pretty decent at, you know, compared to
Mhm.
other things.
Yeah.
So I thought, how do I, and during one of them, I'm like, how do I write like a Johnny Carson monologue? Right.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I went and I took a comedy writing class, like a continuing ed class at
Mhm.
UNLV, University of
Okay.
Nevada, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was this guy, he used to write horror movies. And I forgot which one he had done, but he had like done these movies and stuff. So he taught comedy. And I really enjoyed it. And then one of my coworkers, after a while, they're like, you should really do some comedy and get in
Mhm.
classes. And one of my coworkers was like, you know, the Second City opened a training center here in Vegas. And I was like, what? Because I'm from the Chicago area. So I'm very familiar with the
Yeah.
Second City.
Yeah.
So that same week, I opened one of the local papers. I forgot what it's called. It's like the Village Voice or something like
Mhm.
that. And all of a sudden, there's like the Second City ad staring me in the face. And then it hit me again. I'm like, okay, hear it once, but
Yeah.
keep seeing it within a matter of days. So I picked up the phone and called,
Mhm.
and they're like, yeah, we have classes. I signed up and I instantly fell in love. I took
Yeah.
an improv 101 and I took all their classes they offered 2 and some of them 3 times. And then during that time, I would travel to New York. I took my first trip to New York City and I did intensives at Upright Citizens Brigade, levels 1 and 2. And then UCB eventually opened in LA, but they didn't have a performance stage. They just opened their training center. And they're like, I called them and signed up. They didn't have a level 3, so they skipped me and they put me in level 4. And I drove every weekend to and from Vegas to LA to take the weekly classes. And then eventually I was laid off. In 2006, I was laid off of my job of almost 13 years. And one of the guys I met at UCB Theater had called me and he's like, hey, you said if you didn't have that job you loved, you would move to New York. And I'm like, yeah, well,
He called you on it.
And he did. And he goes, well, I'm graduating and I'm going to move there this summer and I got a sublet. Do you want to split it? And I was like, well, I'll think about it. He goes, you have 1 hour. And I was like, okay. And I went outside and went for a walk, got a drink of water, went back up. I'm like, okay, I'm in. And a month later, I packed my bags. I packed 2 suitcases, got on a plane and moved to New York. Yeah.
Wow. That is, I did not expect the housing stuff. I did not. But it sounds like all these different aspects of career path or just interest or family life just sort of made you like the perfect person to create a platform like this because you had experience coming from like every which way. So did you find it a daunting task to set up Plauzzable, or did you were like, I got this?
Yeah and no, right? It's kind of like my trip moving to New York. Had I known all the things that would go wrong prior to me moving, would I have done it? No, but I did it and I survived, It was amazing. And I'm so glad that I did, like, kind of jump into things and then be like, oh, that's a deep end. So when I thought about Plauzzable, so even in Vegas, like I had been performing, like if you ever want to hear about wild times setting up shows, and then moving to New York.
Midweek,
right after hours. Oh my gosh, I just have like the most bananas thing. So anyway, I was like, hey, why can't I set some stuff up? Because if I'm having these problems, I'm sure other people are having these problems and other people are like, and also how do people earn money? And, like, it's just like all these hoops and barriers and who do you know? And, all this stuff. And so how do we just kind of bring people together in a way that hasn't been done? So I'm like, this should be easy. But I'm like, but now, and now I'm like, everybody's doing Zoom, so I think we can do better than that. And I'm not knocking Zoom because I do think it's a beautiful product, obviously, and it does so many things. But I think for comedy and performing, it needs to be a little bit more streamlined and some nuances that we need. Right. So how do I do that? And I'm like, well, this can't be too hard. So I ended up, I had this goal. So kind of a side note that ties into this is when I was in New York, I remember saying to myself, hey, when I turn 50, I'm going to reevaluate my life and go, hey, do I want to go back to school? Because wouldn't it be cool to go back to school at 50? And so in 2019, I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool, to go back to school? And I mentioned it to my now husband, and he's like, yeah, he's a big advocate of higher education. He goes, check into it. And so I looked and I applied to go to University of California. And I looked at like, what do they offer that would make sense or be of interest to me? And I didn't want an MBA because I'm like, I'm not really going to work for another company necessarily again. Right. But they had a new program for a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship. And I was like, that's what I want. How do I get this thing off the road? So I got accepted in the first round. I was like, like I didn't even think they would accept me, like it wasn't the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which is awesome. But I
Yeah.
also had a really good time, So, and I thought I was a good student, but like talking to somebody like my husband who was also he was also a college professor during this time, and he's like,
Oh,
"Well,
okay.
you have work experience, and that accounts for
Yeah.
something." So I was like, "Oh, thank goodness." So, so I got accepted in this program, and it basically put us students in positions where like we had to come with an idea, and I knew what my idea was. I already had like my minimum viable product. I knew proof of concept. How do I create the tech that I need to create and build a team and fund it and do all that? And that's what I learned there. And then once I graduated, we're accepted into an incubator, and from there an accelerator, and then from there I could hire people and build this.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I really admire the fact that you just went out and did the thing. Because I think a lot of people talk about doing something and they have it on their, vision board, but actually going out and making something happen is commendable. So applause to you, Leanne.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And certainly one thing I love about using Plauzzable is you don't have the audio hiccups that you will on other platforms of those delays. So that's one thing that I'm like, that's really nice that you don't have to like wait there until it happens. But thank you so much for being here tonight and for playing along with our trivia game. And thank you for Plauzzable. I'm really, really glad you created this.
Thank you.
Good on you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being on here. It's really exciting to see other people
absolutely
work on their craft and do their thing on it. It's really refreshing to me. And I dream of the day where, it's just, there's stuff happening 24/7 and people can come in and feel the freedom and put their shows together and experiment.
Exactly. And if you're stuck in traffic on the 405, you can join us too. So it's good. All right. Leanne Linsky, everybody. Give it up.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, well, this has been an awesome show, and we are going to close it off as we do. Velvet Duke, we're going to make you a speaker.
I see the pop-up.
There we go. Wrap us up, friend.
All right, here we go. Well, I agree. Leanne, this is a great platform. Thank you very much for putting that work in even before we got to see Alpha, Beta, Zeta. Here we are, midweek. If it's too late, go to bed. No tree interference. No rats allowed. Leanne made something plausible. We sure are proud. If you're stuck in traffic, digital traffic school, come here to Plauzzable. You know it rules. Midweek late night show. It's early. Go have a coffee. Live on the edge. Midweek late night show. I mean, we're not going to do it. It's so late. It's time to go. Back to you, Kelly.
Give it up for the Velvet Duke. Thank you so much for being second chair on the show. I have not had evening coffee, but I did have fried food just before this show. So I guarantee you, the moment we stop recording, I will be in the fetal position from stomach cramps. So yay!
Yay!
Friends, there are so many great shows happening on Plauzzable, both mics and shows like this one. Love at First Laugh is a show you can join in on as audience, and there's a comedy competition each month, so you can come test your hand out and win. I won one month. Go look at me. I did. There's tons of great stuff here, so please do sign up for Plauzzable. There's information in the YouTube show description. So come join us, and maybe one day you'll be a guest on the Midweek Late Night Show. Good night, everyone from Toronto. Bye.
Bye.